Hello, welcome to a special edition of CropLife Retail Week. I'm Eric Sfiligoj, editor of CropLife and CropLife Iron, here with a special guest, Daren Coppock from the Agricultural Retailers Association. Daren, welcome to the program.
Thanks, Eric. It's great to be here.
Yes, it is. And I think, and maybe using that as a segue, I think that's what maybe a lot of folks in the Beltway are saying right now after the longest government shutdown in history has ended. It's great for all of us to be here and there. So I guess we'll dive right in. The first question to you again, now that the government has reopened, what can agriculture get done that they could not during the last month and a half?
Well, there are several things on the to-do list. I think top of that list for all the farm groups is getting some assistance in the hands of the growers who are still dealing with terrible commodity prices, sticky input prices, lost export markets, et cetera. And it's true pretty much across the board for each commodity. They've each had some kind of cross to bear, so to speak. So I think that's probably top of the list. But there are some other things going on. EPA made a WOTUS announcement today, indicating that they're really making much more flexible. It sounds like they're pretty much going back to what they did in the first Trump administration, which, in my view, was a very common sense, straightforward way to handle waters of the United States. So hopefully this one will be durable and last for us because it's helpful. We're still working on a seasonal ag CDL bill. There's still some appropriations that have to be done before next end of next January.
And in CDL, you mean commercial driver's license?
Yes, yeah, commercial driver's license. It's a bill that Congressman Mann from Kansas was running for us on the House side that makes some procedural changes in how you get and how you keep current a seasonal ag CDL exemption, and it should really help us expand the pool of drivers if we can get it passed.
Okay. All right. Very good. So that's sort of what the to-do list, as you said, is right now. But and maybe this is me being overly optimistic, but now that things are reopened, in a perfect world, a perfect scenario, what more could agriculture maybe accomplish between now and the end of January?
So I think that the biggest items that are on our members' minds, number one is farm gate economics, and we talked about that and the need for an assistance package and hopefully a 5-year farm bill at some point so that people have some planning certainty. But also for us is the impact of tariffs, both inbound and outbound for our products. Farmers are going to end up with higher costs for their inputs because of that situation. And the executive order that the president just announced lowered a lot of those on fertilizer products. So a lot of the things that we were concerned about are going to have lower rates. The issue now is if somebody went out and bought the product at the higher rate when the tariff was still in place, what's going to happen to them? Because they're now in a competitive disadvantage situation that's not fair. So we've asked that question of USTR. The way the EO reads is that it's only for the shipments that start after the cutoff date. So
Mhm.
anything that was done before that time does not get any relief or refund. We're going to continue that conversation because if anybody didn't make those purchases back in that before the rate got lowered, they've got a problem.
What and I'm unfamiliar. What is the cutoff date?
Believe it was November 13th, specifically listed in the executive order and even down to midnight on the date. We put out a communication to members today, actually, I even went to the board, uh, that listed these specifics. But, yeah, there's a real fine cutoff there that if you bought afterwards, there's a much lower tariff or no tariff. If you bought before, you paid it and you don't get it back.
Hmm, interesting. Okay. All right. Well, you mentioned the Farm Bill. I know you and I had the opportunity to chat earlier this year when we were at the 2025 Tech Hub Live event in Des Moines. And, I pressed you a little bit about the Farm Bill. And I know since that talk between yourself and me in Des Moines, I've heard several speakers talking about the prospects for a new Farm Bill. And I got to tell you, a few of them are on the mindset that we may have seen the last Farm Bill passed, back I think in 2018. So, the prospects for a new farm bill, the government's just reopened. I'm sure it's not top of mind for most of the folks in DC right now, but ideally, when does the discussion start on a potential new farm bill? And will we see one, or are we just going to see perpetual extensions going forward?
That's a great question. We are continuing to advocate for a long-term farm bill just because it gives farmers, their creditors, their bankers, everybody who serves them certainty around what the environment's going to look like for several years of time. So it's important that we have that kind of planning certainty. Having said that, the way that the farm bill was handled this year calls into question what they're going to look like in the future. Most of the programs that our farmers depend upon for direct support, Title One, the commodity title, were extended in the One Big Beautiful Bill Act.
Right.
SNAP was also adjusted in that bill, and then the things that weren't picked up in that bill just got extended at 25 funding levels in the continuing resolution. And for USDA programs, FDA, military construction, legislative branch, those were funded through the entire fiscal year. Everybody else is only funded through January 30th. And so we face the prospect of another shutdown or at least some hard negotiations in January to get the other 9 appropriations bills done. I think the crux of the matter here is that for years and years, we've relied on a coalition of urban and rural people to pass a farm bill. Since the nutrition programs were reauthorized separately and at a lower level than what those interests want, keeping that coalition together for future farm bills is pretty tough.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I've heard that from other folks too, that the coalition that was always there that we could count on in agriculture
Right.
to move farm bills forward no longer exists. And I guess the natural question is can a new coalition be formed perhaps?
There's always a possibility. It's more difficult in these partisan times than it would have been maybe 15 or 20 years ago. But, you look at the number of folks in the Senate and the House that have direct farm experience, and there are 8 senators and 25 representatives who have direct farm experience. That's nowhere near a majority in either house.
Yeah.
So we have to have friends to get a bill passed, and a coalition will have to be built if we're going to be able to get it done.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm sure these topics we've just been discussing will be topic of conversation in a couple of weeks here. And I know one of the reasons I wanted to have you on the program today is for those of us in the ag retail marketplace, of course, we're getting ready for the annual meeting of the ARA. And I think, if I'm not wrong, the cityscape that you have pictured behind your head is sort of a hint of what's coming up. So tell me more about the 2025 ARA annual meeting and conference and what some of the high points will be and maybe the new offerings you've got on the table.
All right. Well, thanks for asking. And yes, indeed, that is Salt Lake City behind my head. So we're looking forward to being. This is the first one we've done in a northern latitude where you can't play real golf in the first week of December. So we're doing top golf with heaters, and I think it's going to be fun. We'll have a lot of people who usually don't go play golf can still go to the event and network and have a great time. So lots of things to do there, and we're really looking forward to it. From the program side, we've got some really good keynoters set up. We'll start out with Scott Mann. Scott is a retired Army Green Beret who is going to talk to us about how do you lead in low trust, high stakes environments. And
Yeah.
so some of the things that we're going through in the industry with upheavals and unpredictable conditions uh, come pretty close to a low trust, high stakes environment. So I think that's going to be really interesting. He comes highly regarded, and so that's our opener on Tuesday. Then on Wednesday, we've got Matt Makins talking about global weather trends and how those are impacting us, and not just La Nina or El Nino, but longer term stuff that I think is going to shape us for quite a while to come. And then one I'm particularly looking forward to is Dr. Joe Glauber, who's a former USDA chief economist. And I called him several months ago and I said, I need you to come and give us the real skinny on whether the trade policies that we have in place right now are working for agriculture or not. Because there's a lot been promised, and we need to know if we're on the path to prosperity or if it's headed somewhere else. Joe is one who developed a reputation for calling it as he sees it, um, and so that's going to be, I think, a really good presentation. We've got several breakouts, one on Purdue's large commercial grower study, one on our new labor link service that helps people access H2A labor. one on a fertilizer outlook with Josh Linville from StoneX, and then a presentation on generative AI in agriculture. So a broad scope of issues, but I think all important and all timely.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I know myself, I'm looking forward to the AI discussion because, again, that's been a buzzword across agriculture and ag retail for, I think, at least the last 18 to 20 months, it seems like. So that's really going to be an interesting, conversation to be heard when we're there in Salt Lake City. So if folks are interested in attending, where can they find out more?
So just go to our main website, aradc.org, and look for the conference, or you can add a /conference on the end of that, and it'll take you right to the site. Our pre-registration just closed yesterday, and so anybody who wants to add on will be able to do so, but they'll need to do it on site.
Okay. All right. Very good. And I know, speaking just for for our audience who may be wondering, Top Golf versus regular golf. I have been to several events in the last couple of years that have used Top Golf as the replacement for a regular golf tournament, and it's a lot more comfortable because you're not walking around so much. And the rules are a little different, but I mean, you're still swinging a club, so if you like to golf, I know myself, I don't hit very long, so the computer is always telling me to use the driver even though I'm using the driver. But nonetheless, other than that little chiding, it's a fun experience. I would recommend it for anyone who's
Well, and it's a lot harder to lose a ball when you're at Top Golf and on a real golf course.
yeah, that is a point well taken. All right. Well, Darren, hey, so we're at the end of the program, so it's time for you to play the game. Time for fun with numbers. So I'm hoping this is an easy one for you. I just got a straight number for you, not a dollar amount, not a percentage. 43. Okay. So that,
Oh, it must have been the length of the shutdown.
don't get ahead of me. So is 43, is that A, the number of days the government shutdown lasted? Is it B, the number of CropLife 100 ag retailers that are ARA members? Is it C, according to sci-fi author Douglas Adams, the answer to the question, what is the meaning of life? Or is it D, the number of hors d'oeuvres I plan to eat at the ARA opening reception?
Oh, it could be a number of those, Eric. But as a reader of Douglas Adams, I know the answer to life, the universe, and everything is 42.
Correct.
It can't be that one. I'm going to go with the length of the government shutdown.
You are correct. Yes, the answer is A, and I know myself, having talked to you several times about the CropLife 100 number of retailers who are members of ARA, I know the number is higher than 43, and I know I love and I compliments to your folks at ARA. The hors d'oeuvre selections during the open reception are fantastic. I usually eat way too many. I don't think I've ever downed 43 in a sitting, maybe closer to 6 to 10, but I know that usually then when we go out to dinner afterwards, I usually just have a bowl of soup because I'm pretty full from the hors d'oeuvres, so
Yep, been there, done that too.
amen. All right. Well, hey, Darren, on behalf of myself and everyone at the CropLife Retail Group, thanks for joining us this week. Hope everyone who's thinking of attending ARA will say hi to Darren and myself. We will both be there. On behalf of myself, I hope you enjoyed this episode of Retail Week, and we will see you again next week. If you have questions or comments about today's episode of Retail Week, contact us by email or Twitter, or type your message in the comments section below. Your feedback is important to us. We will try our best to address your thoughts in next week's episode, and be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel.